This is At Face Value.
What's up, everybody? Here we go again. Lucky number 13 at Face Value. I'm Brian.
And I'm Lucas.
So excited to have you back again here on a Sunday night, rocking and rolling. Lucas taking a little time out of his busy schedule, moving out of the big city out to the country. So if he falls asleep in the middle of the podcast, it's because he's been moving for 2 days.
At 32 years old, man, at this point, just hire a moving crew. Like, I'm done. Next move, and hopefully it's our last move, I am hiring some young bucks to move the stuff, man, because I could barely move this morning. Like, my back was sore. Like, my calves were tight. Moving up and down stairs, a bunch of furniture. Don't recommend it. Definitely don't recommend moving. So,
well, dude, that's what when we moved 2 New Braunfels, we didn't want anybody. We were moving to an apartment. We didn't want anybody to live on top of us, so we got a 3rd floor apartment, and we moved in by ourselves. And I remember it was the most miserable experience of my life. And so I told Ashley, I said, when we move out of here, I said, we're hiring movers. I was like, and everywhere we go, we're hiring movers because, dude,
honestly,
it's worth every penny.
It's worth it. It's worth it. And, like, yeah, I just hope to never have to do that again. Like, that's the thing. And
we'll have to do it at least one more time.
Well, yeah, but I'm hiring somebody. But no. It was also deceivingly hot yesterday. So
yes, it was.
Like it felt awesome in the morning. Drank my coffee, getting ready to rock and roll, watching some Arsenal. Like the soccer game was on Saturday morning, so I was watching that, getting my mind right to move, and then it got hot.
Yeah, it did.
And it was rough. So definitely don't recommend that.
I will say, going with the hot, my son had his second game of the soccer season. Scored 8 goals yesterday.
8 goals.
So led the way. So
jeez,
yeah,
man.
dude, like he kind of turned it up. But it is kind of funny though because they're little 4 and 5 year olds, and it gets hot, and so we had a little canopy just covering up, and it was halftime. So I was like, all right, you 4, y'all are gonna go back in to start off, and they're like, no. I was like, what? No. I was like,
it's too hot.
I was like, I want to go. They're like, no. I was like, well, guys, somebody's got to go in the game. Like, so finally, like so I'm like, just go play for a few minutes. I'll get you a break. So eventually, like they go out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, it's freaking hilarious. Like, it's just funny to me. Like, I know when I was a kid, like, man, if my dad was coaching me and I was like, no, I'm not going in, he'd be like,
you better get out there, boy. Yeah.
You don't have a choice. But
different times.
Yeah, for sure. But it was a lot of fun. So, but no, man. So, a lot going on in the sports world over the weekend. What we did want to lead off with, and if you're watching on YouTube, I'm gonna try to post a graphic as well with the standings of our pick'ems. It's been a lot of up and downs. And some people have been consistent. Some people have been kind of hit and miss. Our boy Lou right here going 0-5 over the weekend. So
rough weekend for me on my picks.
I will say, who was it that commented? It was
Rel.
Yeah, Rel. He did say, he was like, man, he goes, y'all picked some good games, and I mean we tried to pick. I think all the games we picked were within 5-point spreads, so they were all close.
And I mean, I'm pretty sure they all finished pretty dang close too. Like none of them were blowouts.
They did. Well, like Duke was down 20-0.
They came back,
and win 21-20.
Yeah, of course.
Arkansas A&M back and forth didn't end how we wanted it to end. That cost me my 5-0 weekend.
I mean, the Georgia game.
The Georgia game looked like was a blowout. Yeah, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. Yeah, they were all good games. So
I guess Oklahoma State, Kansas State was a little bit of a blowout, but
yeah, it was. And just like we tried to talk about too, Ollie Gordon having another flop of a game.
I mean, that dude's draft stock is tumbling.
Yeah, I mean, he's got to be at least in the second round now. Like, but if you want to do a rundown of the standings real quick, shout out a few people.
Yeah, man. So in first place we got Cody G. He's at 17-8 record.
I want to shout out Cody too. Yeah, he's been one of the guys that he's really been a big commenter and kind of interacted with the whole pod and everything since the beginning. So
yeah, we appreciate it.
Yeah, we appreciate Cody.
And then tied for second place, there's 4 of them. My wife is included in that somehow. She doesn't watch a second of any of these games. I literally just go up to her and say, hey, who you got? And she just picks in literally 2 seconds. No breakdown of games, nothing. She just picks, asks me what colors they are. She's 15-10, along with Brian. So Brian made some some moves this week.
Made some headway.
Yeah,
dude.
going 4-1. Travis S is 15-10, and then Freddie A is 15-5. So I think he missed out on his picks this week, but he had the 15 stacked up, so had a chance to kind of jump up ahead of everybody if he would have made the picks. So this week, baby, make those picks. And then tied for 6th is myself, 14-11. Kevin G is 14-11. Nathan B is 14-6. And then Kyle G is 14-6. And then I have to shout out our last place guy, Dennis B, down at 2-8. I think he forgot to make some picks, but I guess at 2-8, he's just like, you know what, I've had enough.
And that's what I mean. That's one thing we'll say too. It's like if you've missed some weeks, like because we're not going to go by winning percentage, we're just going to go by winning picks.
Yep.
So even if you do miss a week, that doesn't necessarily knock you out. It just gives you a missed opportunity at getting extra picks right. So
and like, I mean, I had a pretty big lead on everybody especially like Brian a few weeks ago. You were kind of down in the dubs.
I was 9-6 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, you had 2 great weeks, and now you're pretty much up at the top. So
right, don't sleep on them, baby.
Yeah, that's right. So anything can change, right? The leader could go 0-5, and that can make the world of a difference. You know what I mean? So get those picks in. We appreciate all you guys jumping in, commenting, doing all that stuff. But I was thinking too. It's a little too late, but how awesome would it be to have a punishment for the worst? But we can't throw that on you guys yet.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, maybe we'll come up with something, and especially if it's Dennis.
Yeah,
we
Dennis,
definitely.
I was thinking doing the. I saw this one for fantasy where you have 90 minutes to run 1.5 miles, eat 4 slices of pizza.
Oh my gosh!
Drink 6 beers and a dozen donuts in 90 minutes.
So would you break that up as you're running, or would you?
No, I would. I've already thought this through, man. I think about these things like in the
so
shower.
So you run first?
Oh, I'd bust out the 1.5 miles, and then I'd be thirsty, so I'd chug me 2 beers, and just grab me some pizza as I go. I'd save the donuts for last.
Damn.
I think I could do it.
I feel like
90 minutes.
I feel like I might like run 2 laps, hang out for a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, depending on how you want to pace it.
Yeah.
I don't know. The first beer, I'd be fine for the first one, but then after like the second and third, if I tried to break it, it might get a little tough.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean, I'd be pacing. So,
but I think obviously it's too late for that. But maybe next year we can set something up for that.
Yeah. Or we'll just make Dennis do it just because he's.
yeah.
We'll just make it a group chat thing this year,
and
then
we'll film it and put it on YouTube. I bet he'd do it, honestly.
Yeah, honestly, he probably does it anyway. So
True. But yeah, so these pick'ems, obviously they're a little bit tough. We talked about it before. The MLB playoffs, the playoffs are set now.
Not completely.
Oh, it's not.
No, so actually,
I thought today was
the Braves lost today, and so they
163.
they don't have a 163, but they have a doubleheader that they have to make up with the Mets.
Oh.
So everybody is set except for the 5th and 6th wild card seed in the NL.
Oh, wow.
So the Mets and the Braves are playing tomorrow in a doubleheader that they have to play both, because if either team sweeps, then the team that sweeps. So say the Braves win both games, the Braves get the 5 seed and the Diamondbacks get the 6 seed. If the Mets win both, then the Mets get the 5 seed and the Diamondbacks get the 6 seed. If they split,
they each get 5 and 6.
then they're going to get 5 and 6.
Dude, they should. I mean, never mind. That's cheap.
Now I don't know how they'll seed it. I don't know. I guess they have some sort of tiebreaker that they do, because they said that was a problem, is that the Diamondbacks lost both tiebreakers because they don't have a 163 anymore. Now it goes by tiebreak.
That's true.
And so so the Diamondbacks are rooting for one of those teams to win both games. But
I loved the 163, and I was gonna say prior to the game they'd probably just be like, "Hey, man,
yeah,
let's do this. Let's
you win one, I'll win one."
But they hate each other, so that's not gonna.
Well,
happen.
yeah, I was gonna say being in the same division, like that definitely adds a little bit to it.
They don't like each other.
No, definitely.
Like that's a huge rivalry. They don't like each other. So.
Well, especially like, I mean, I just don't root for any New York team, so I would love to see the Mets miss out on the playoffs once again.
See, dude, I'm opposite.
Really?
Yeah, it's like the Angels. Like they're just whatever to me. You know what I mean? Like I can't stand the Dodgers. The Angels are just kind of there. The Mets are just kind of there.
Yeah, but like
and the fans,
that is true.
The fans that are actually Mets fans are actually Mets fans. Like
Yeah.
they're not just like, oh, I have a Yankees cap on, like because I live in New York.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
they are better than Yankees fans. I will give
Oh,
them
absolutely.
that for sure.
Are they good fans? I mean, some of them.
But
probably
also,
not,
like on the Angels side, like I don't worry about the Angels because I know like they're just bad. Like
True.
like they've never been a team that I've worried about. Like
Yeah. I mean, they
like
had
even
they had their runs
Yeah.
like in the early 2000s, but the Angels though, like again, like the most recognizable LA cap is the blue with the LA script
Oh,
on it.
for
You know,
sure. Yeah,
like
yeah.
if you see somebody walking around with an Angels cap on, you're like respect, dude.
Yeah.
Like you could easily jump over to the blue side. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
definitely.
And so that's why I respect the Angels, and same thing with the Mets. The Braves, I mean, I can't stand the Braves just because what they did to the Astros for so long in the NL.
Yeah, for sure.
So honestly, like, yeah,
Hey, the Astros got their payback though
yeah,
in 04 and 05, so
true.
but of course then the Braves came back in 21,
Yeah,
so
won
you
the
know,
World Series,
but
yeah.
it is what it is. So.
Yeah.
But no, man, I mean, but as far as everything else, I mean, like it's going to be I think it's going to be a wild run to the World Series title. Like I know we talked about it a little bit last week, but I honestly like I don't see like a clear favorite right now. Because I mean, like if you ask the media, you know who the media is rooting
Oh,
for. They're
absolutely.
rooting for the Dodgers and the Yankees to be playing in the World Series.
Absolutely.
The Dodgers. So for the first time this year, we're going to see Shohei Ohtani in the playoffs.
That's a great point.
Yeah, so we're going to see like what kind of player he is because we know what Judge is. We know Judge is a regular season player.
Yeah.
That he falls asleep in the playoffs. So I'm interested to see if Ohtani is going to be the same way or if he's going to find a way to show out. So
This is his first playoff game, isn't it?
it is, yeah.
Wow.
So it's going to be a lot of fun. But if you just want to run down here, so
Yeah.
you know, we can start on the AL side. So the Yankees clinched the 1 seed. The Guardians, sorry, I was going to say Indians. The Guardians clinched the 2 seed. So they both get the first round bye.
Nice.
So the Astros clinched the 3 seed. They won the 3rd division title. They're going to start with the Tigers. And I know we kind of I don't know if we talked about it on the pod. I know we talked about it in the chat for sure about I mean, really, like it's the Tigers have Skubal, who's probably the best pitcher in the AL. But then after that, I mean, they kind of were a hot team. I was honestly hoping that they would end up playing the Royals because the Royals were they kind of slid into the playoffs. I think they went 3-7 or they went 4-6 in their last 10 games. So I think they won today to clinch the 5 seed. But yeah, so I was kind of hoping for the Royals there, but I mean, I think just based on experience alone, I mean, I think you still have to put the Astros as the favorites in that series.
Yeah, I think so.
And what helped too is that today got canceled, and so they didn't have to worry about pitching anybody. So essentially, they're getting 2 days of rest instead of 1 before they have to roll and play the Guardians. So
Yeah, that definitely
or before
worked
they
out.
play the Tigers. So
That definitely worked out for sure.
and it's kind of crazy too, like that. You know, if they beat the Tigers, which hopefully they do, then they play the Guardians again, who they just played. So it's almost like a preview of what the playoffs is going to look like. Which the Astros took the 2 that they played.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think that's a good sign. Now I don't know who the Guardians sent out there. I don't even know if they even sent like their better pitchers out there or not. But
Yeah, they were meaningless games for sure. I think those seeds were already locked up. But, yeah, I don't know. I think I touched on it last week, but the Astros are just different, like their mentality at the plate. And I think the Tigers, they just never been there, right? They're a young
Right.
team. They've never been there. Obviously, they have a manager that has, which helps. But I like the Astros for sure, just with all their experience. Did we ever get an update on Jordan? Is he day to day?
I haven't
seen
heard anything.
They
Like
kind of kept it quiet. For
yeah,
sure.
like I know when it first all went down that like there was very little optimism with everything. I knew they were going to get that MRI, but I never heard an update on it. So I really don't know. I hope he is ready, but because I mean, especially with it only being a 3-game series, like it's kind of one of those deals. Like it's not as stressful as a 1 game, but it's definitely.
Oh yeah.
I mean, like you lose the first one, like you're immediately in trouble.
Yeah, especially when Skuball's going.
Yeah,
you know,
so-
like that's the. I mean, I assume we're getting Fromber.
Yeah, I mean, I would bet that
I think it's
that's who's
shaking
going to be
out.
the guy. So, I mean, I think it's going to be I mean, I think the first game for sure. I think it's going to be a low scoring. I think the series might just be a low scoring ordeal, just because the Astros haven't scored a ton of runs lately, and then, but I mean, on the other side, their pitching is going to be solid. So,
And it's great we won't get to watch it, whoever's working, because it's at 1 o'clock.
1:30, all 3 games.
It's like it's just a tradition at this point.
Yeah, it's
The
unbelievable.
Astros
dude.
just always get the 1 o'clock spot. It never fails. And I understand why, but it just sucks for fans. Literally every single division series, 1 o'clock.
Well,
every time.
And it's kind of crazy too because
It's during the week. Like
yeah, it's like during the week, but and also like it's at least with these 3, at least give them like a later spot because like I get it. Like I get the bias. Like you want the Dodgers, you want the Yankees playing prime time, whatever, but neither one of them are playing in the first series, so I mean, I guess they want to put more spotlight on the Orioles who have been playing well, and they want to put more spotlight on the Padres, but I don't know, man. It's just
yeah.
I mean, we called it before it even
Oh.
before the schedule even came out that they were going to have the early games just because that's the way that things go.
Always.
So
Always.
I don't know, man, but I mean, I think all things given, so we have the Astros winning that one. I would assume we're both in agreement
Yeah.
on that one. The Orioles and Royals,
Yeah, we kind of that's kind of
I think the Royals probably win that one, and I think this is kind of the year that the Orioles, if they're going to make a run, I think this is the year that they need to do it.
But have they gotten healthy on the like in their starters? Like have their starters gotten healthy?
That is
Like
true.
on the
I'm
mound,
not
like
100% sure on
they've
that,
been
so.
they've been decimated with injuries all season from their starters. Like their bullpen's been pretty good. Obviously, their lineup is daunting, but their starting pitching just hasn't been healthy
Yeah,
all year.
for sure.
And so that's a big question mark for them. Whereas the Royals, like, I feel like it's vintage Royals. Like, looking at that lineup, there's not a lot of power there.
No.
There's just a lot of like dink and dunk, like find a hole, base hit you to death to kill you with 1,000 knife stabs.
Yeah, it's kind of like the same as like that 2015
Yeah.
World Series team. Yeah, it's
exactly,
just not any real power.
and pretty good pitching.
Yeah,
Like,
for sure.
you
So,
know.
so I think it's going to. I think it will be an interesting series, especially if the Orioles aren't 100% healthy. But
Yeah.
I'd be interested to see that Orioles and Yankees series though,
Oh yeah.
because I think that's going to be good. Because it's just a rivalry within the division, and then I think the Orioles. The reason I say like this needs to be the year is because they've been kind of on the cusps. So if they want to be so people kind of compared them to what the Astros were like in 2015. It was like 2015 they made a step. 2016 they sort of made a step, didn't quite make the playoffs. In 2017 they win the World Series, and now like they're just on this insane run right now. So if the Orioles want to be that same way, like at a certain point you got to make some sort of impact.
Yeah.
But
And they have some electric young talent on that team with
Oh,
Gunnar
for sure.
Henderson. You have that Colton Cowser. Like they have some studs, man. And again, it's a lineup that you don't want to face.
no, definitely. So that's what I almost. As far as like the ALDS, if the Astros can get through the Tigers and the Guardians, I
feel like we're on the right side of the bracket.
yeah, no, definitely on the right side of the bracket. But what I was going to say is I almost want to play the Yankees in the ALCS just
Yeah.
because they absolutely own them. Like I think Jose Altuve just starts licking his chops anytime he gets to play the Yankees.
Yeah.
So. It's just kind of a different mindset. Like since 2015, like the Astros have just absolutely dominated them every time they've played them in the playoffs. So
Every time.
and the Yankees, they're just one of those teams that like kind of what we talk about a lot is they're a built for 162 kind of team. So
And their lineup is not like obviously 3, 4, 5. Like you're like, okay, they got some mashers there. But once you start getting lower into the lineup, like it's not, it doesn't scare me. Like and the 2, 3, 4, 5. There's a lot of K's in there. Stanton,
Oh,
Judge,
yes.
Soto.
Soto, yeah.
Like they strike out a ton.
For
and
sure.
so I'm sure in the back office analytics are run, and that's a lot of times why I guarantee you during the regular season they don't show everything, like
No.
and there's little bitty like nuances that like the tipping of the pitches that the Astros had, like whenever we were tipping, was it McCullers tipping a few years ago?
Yeah.
And like they caught on to that, and I'm sure they've had that in their back pocket the whole time, but they're not going to like say anything during the regular season.
Yeah, it's all those adjustments that you make once
Yeah.
you hit the playoffs for sure.
Yeah.
So, and that's one thing too. Soto, Judge, like they crush home runs, and even Stanton's not near the player he used to be, but a lot of that is like when you're facing just elite pitching night after night,
Yeah.
like that's usually what wears you down. So
And they got Cole, but what else? They had Nestor.
yeah,
Like, I mean, their starting pitching doesn't scare me.
no, for sure. And even their bullpen, I mean, their bullpen's never been like a big, like a just daunting presence for me. Like it's,
I'll take the Astros bullpen all day.
oh yeah, 100%. Yeah.
With Abreu and Hader. Presley has kind of been shaky, but
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of hoping that they find a way to bridge it differently where Presley's not having to come in the eighth inning just because he's been so inconsistent.
yeah.
Because he can show that he can be great, and then all of a sudden he's fallen off. So I mean, I don't really know what to expect from him at this point, but you kind of hope maybe in the playoffs he shakes it out. But
Yeah.
I don't know. But it's going to be fun on the AL side. But then on the NL side, too, we don't really have much to look at yet just because, like I said, the 5 and 6 seeds aren't totally set right now. So the Padres are sitting on the Dodgers side of it, waiting for the 5 seed, and then the Brewers. The Brewers ran away with the NL Central.
Yeah.
That division ended up pretty bad.
Bad.
The team I was kind of surprised about was, I guess it was 2 teams, like the Cardinals and the Cubs. I thought both of them would be a little better this year, but they both kind of fell off. I was kind of surprised.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And then how did the Pirates end up finishing? Like, obviously they got Skeens and they have some young talent, but I guess they fell off.
Yeah, I think they ended up in last place in the division.
Dang.
So
And that's
like
telling.
they started good too.
They did.
I think it was the first 25 games of the season. They had like the best record in the league
Yeah.
or something. So it was kind of like, okay, maybe that they finally figured something out, and then they went back to the same old Pirates. So
Yeah.
which the Pirates they were another team like. I mean, it's been a while. I think it was like 2012 or something that that was like the last time they really kind of made a run.
I think it was 11.
But even then, I don't think they got past the NLDS. I think they had like a good team, and
That was like McCutcheon's prime.
yeah, that was McCutcheon's. That's when they had that was Garrett Cole early in his career.
Yep.
So and then they fell off in a hurry. So
Didn't they also have who was it? It wasn't Charlie Morton. Was it Charlie Morton?
I think did they?
I don't remember.
I don't know, dude. Like Charlie Morton, he was so unhealthy, like
Yeah.
almost his entire career until he got to the Astros.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where he completely changed. But he's still where's he? Is he with the Braves still?
I believe so.
Because he hasn't been as good as he was doing for a while.
course.
But he dude, there for a few years after when he left the Astros, like he was freaking crushing it.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
Because I remember like at one point we were almost wishing that they would come find a way to get him back, but
Yeah.
it just never ended up working out. But I don't know. But I mean, I think on that side, I think you look at your 2 favorites. I mean, obviously, I think the Dodgers are a favorite, and then
Agreed.
the Phillies. Like the Phillies are another team where they kind of like they played really well. I think they had the best record for a while, and then they kind of fell off, and then
Yeah.
they still ended up getting the 2 seed. But I mean, I don't think that they've just been dominating. So
Yeah.
I don't know, man. But it's gonna be. I mean, I think both sides. I mean, I think it's gonna be super.
I mean, the Padres, too, dude. Like,
Yeah, the Padres are playing
that
well. I mean,
lineup's pretty good, too.
yeah, for sure. And their pitching.
Yeah.
I mean, their pitching's been good. So it is. I mean, like I think it came down to. I mean, I think they only lost the division by a couple games.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I can't say I've watched a lot of the National League, but
No.
other than when the Astros have played them. But I mean, just looking at the records, I mean, everything's so close.
well, I was gonna say it's kind of like what you talked about last week, where you're not playing your division 19 games. Now you're only playing 14, and so now you're having to play a lot more interleague. And
Is it 14? I thought it was less than that.
I think it's 14 now.
I thought you play every team like 9 times.
I don't think it's that little. I think it's.
I
Still,
think you have 1 series home, 1 series away with your division, and then you play every single team, either home or away, outside of your division.
Really?
I'm pretty sure that's what it is.
I'd have to look at that. 'Cause,
Actually, it might be more than that. It might be like
yeah.
12.
yeah, I think it is like 12 or 14 because
Okay.
I know they definitely
maybe you're
reduced
right.
it because if you think about it, I mean that's 20 fewer games you're playing to where you're playing other teams around the league. So, yeah, but man, that kind of shows too because I mean the Astros I mean they started so bad anyway, but their record wasn't as good as what it usually is, and then the Dodgers didn't even win. Like nobody won 100 games this year.
Yeah, that's great. That's great for the sport.
Yeah, I mean, it just shows like it really evened everything out a lot more. And I mean, I like that they play a lot more interleague games because I mean, it really gives you a bit more of a telling lead up to what the playoffs are going to look like. So,
And it gives you a chance to go to me and my wife and some other friends have also done it with us too. Is going to different ballparks and watching the Astros play
for sure.
And so like the Astros hadn't played at Wrigley Field since 2012.
Yeah,
they
it's been
finally
a while.
played this year for the first time in 12 years.
Yeah.
So like that was one that it was going to take forever to knock off because they played the opposite interleague division once every 3 years.
Yeah.
And so that's what sucks. It's 13 games.
Yeah, 13
of each. But yeah, it makes it more to where you can go out and see some of these ballparks and watch some of these games. Like we went to a Braves game a few years ago. It was awesome.
For
and
sure.
just going to those different ballparks, it's cool to go check it out. And now you have the opportunity to as fans, which is awesome.
Yeah, no, definitely. So, yeah, definitely a lot more parity and definitely a lot more close competition. And I mean, I think it's going to be fun to watch because I know like what we talked about too is it's kind of like that layoff for those teams that win the division. Like there's a lot of complaints, especially the last couple of years, about getting that first round bye. It's you're having to sit out and so
Like a week.
I mean, I never understand that though. It's like, so do you want to win your division and take the bye, or do you want to like keep playing? Like, I mean, I kind of see both sides.
I think it
of
depends
like,
on what situation you're in. Like if you're injury bug, you're waiting for people to come back. It's great. But like in the routine and swing of things, I feel like baseball's a very, very routine and like superstitious sport. Like these guys have their routines. They do it since February in spring
sure.
training, and they just sit there grind. They have a different mindset.
Yeah,
and
then all of a sudden
they
you have
get
to
thrown
sit.
off.
Yeah.
It just I feel like it's just different for them.
Well, and I mean, it's not even just baseball either. Like I know, like, well, I mean, just from experience, like when the Cowboys historically, when they've had the first round bye, they always choke it up when they go into the division round, just because like they have to take that week off, and so
I think it's just the Cowboys, dude.
yeah, well, it's also that, but but I also do usually root for them to like at least play in the first week just because of that, because I'd like if you're playing well, which they were playing well last year, and then they played the Packers and it didn't matter, but anyway, but
it's such a weird argument, right? Because like obviously if you go to a third game, then your arms are taxed.
Exactly.
Like you have to kind of figure out like what you're going to do with your bullpen. Are you going to use like you know what I mean? Like it taxes your pitching staff. So like theoretically, like if you just look at it by the numbers, first round bye would be great.
Yeah.
Your pitching staff's resting. The other teams are having to throw arms. Like some pitchers might have to go 3 days rest now. Like it throws everything out of sync.
For sure.
And whenever you have
yeah.
the bye, like your number one's going day one. Like and it's set for sure. And if you go 3 games in the first round, now your fourth starter is going to have to go up against your ace.
Yeah, exactly.
And so it kind of changes the whole rotation of everything.
Yeah, and so that's why like baseball wise for sure, like I would
weird.
definitely, I feel like I would still rather take the first round.
I think so.
I mean, because again, like just with who we've been watching, the Astros, like they've been having the first round and they've been just fine.
True.
But the argument is there because the Yankees blew it last year in the ALDS, and then the Dodgers blew it in the NLDS. And so obviously the argument has to exist because, well, why aren't these teams that are absolutely dominating, why aren't they winning? And
it keeps happening. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, well, maybe they're not as good as what you're saying they are.
Maybe you're not that good.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I mean, the Diamondbacks, I mean, obviously they go to the World Series, but I mean, they were just a hot team, and they got to keep playing, they got to stay hot, and they won those series. But
yeah,
I don't say it's undeserved because they kept playing and the Dodgers didn't. Like,
don't win so many games.
Exactly.
Or don't win those games.
If you want to cry about it, then get the 4 seed and keep playing. So
don't win those games.
Exactly, but
it'll be fun.
Yeah,
I think it's gonna be a great playoffs.
Yeah, it's gonna be.
It starts soon, so
for sure starts on Tuesday. So
I won't be watching. So
we'll be following on the ESPN app.
I'll be working.
While we're working. So it's gonna be great.
I won't be moving though, so that's definitely a plus. I'll be actually working.
At least you're done moving. So for now, but
for a while.
But just a quick note as well on the MLB side, on the opposite end of the playoffs, the White Sox clinched the worst record in MLB history getting their 121st. I saw they got their 121st. I don't know if I'm assuming they probably lost one or two since then. So ended with 122, 123 losses. So
Let's check it out.
just absolutely horrible. Dude.
And man, like obviously we went through the years with the Astros where they lost a ton of games. I'm just so glad somebody else has taken that reign.
Well, but
like,
the worst the Astros ever did is they lost 111.
Was it?
I thought it was 111.
Was it
I don't think they
111?
ever lost 117. Like
I thought somebody lost 117. I don't know why that came in my mind.
I don't know. It may have been. But,
121. They won today. They beat the Tigers today.
oh, there you go. See, Tigers coming in on an L. There you go.
Yeah.
But yeah, man,
That's crazy. That's bad.
Yeah, that's
And now, right? Do they have a lottery system now?
yeah, they do have a lot.
So like you're not even guaranteed for the number one overall.
Yeah, not even guaranteed the number one pick. So, but dude, I mean, what we talked about a couple weeks ago. But look at the Guardians; they got the number one pick last year, and then they're the number 2 seed this year. Like now,
They didn't get the number one pick last year.
they did.
Nah, Skeens went to the Pirates,
Oh, he did.
and then number 2 was Dylan Cruz.
But didn't they have like the worst record though?
probably
I think the Guardians were down there like one of the worst records
were
last
they?
year. I'm pretty sure.
I
could
have
be,
no idea.
I could be totally wrong.
The only reason I know Skeens and Cruz went number 1 and 2 is because they played at LSU.
Yeah. No, true.
Or wait, was that last year?
It was, yeah, because Skeens is a rookie, and he came straight through.
No. There was a. Are you talking about this year's draft? The draft that just happened this summer. That was
Yes.
last year's draft. I'm totally
Yes.
wrong.
So I'm pretty sure that they had the number one pick.
Who did they take? I don't know who they took.
Sorry if you're listening. We're both looking right now. Yeah, they got the number one pick. They drafted Travis Bazana out of Oregon State, the second baseman.
Well, there you go.
So yeah,
But they ended up with the worst record last year.
I'm pretty sure if it was not the worst record,
I'm sure they had
it
the
was-
highest percentage. It goes by percentages, right?
Yeah, like
Like the NBA.
I don't know
lottery.
how it compares to the NBA, but
The Pelicans just always get the freaking first overall.
yeah. Well, they've been doing just good enough to not
Yeah.
be getting picks lately. So.
But they still give it to him. Like they got Anthony Davis, like out of nowhere, and then they got Zion out of
yeah.
nowhere, and
That's
they weren't
where-
the worst.
Yeah, I mean, and again, that's always
Yeah, rigged.
yeah, it's
People talk about it a lot.
it's a weird system for sure. Oh, they actually didn't do, dude. They went
They must have.
76 and 86
Yeah, I was gonna
last
say
year.
there must have been a trade. Like there must have been a trade or something.
No,
that got
no, that's what it was. They won the lottery. They had like less than a 1% chance of getting it. They had
See, I
like a
don't like that.
0.8% chance of getting the draft pick or something. Because dude, like I said, they went 76 and 86. The A's had the worst record. They went 50 and 112.
God, they're bad too.
So, yeah, man, that's kind of crazy. Yeah, I forgot about that. So they didn't have a terrible. I mean, they didn't have a horrible season. They were bad, but then all of a sudden now they have the number 2 seed in the AL. So,
Yeah, I don't think they're gonna get the number 1 this year.
no, I don't think so. If they do, then something's definitely messed up. So.
Dude, they got to have something where if you make the playoffs, you don't even get a percent.
No, I'm sure it's like the NBA where like the non-playoff teams get thrown in the lottery, and then you figure all those picks out, and then it fills in from there
Is
for
that how it
records.
works?
Yeah, it's like the 14 teams in the NBA that don't make it, they get thrown to the lottery, and then they fill all that in, and then the playoff teams, I think they fill in by
Seed.
record from there. So, well, record and then playoff result. So, but yeah, man, but congratulations, White Sox, on an absolutely horrible season. But
It's great.
yeah, it's good for you. So, yeah, man. So MLB is going to be a lot of fun. And it's going to be. We will try to watch it the best that we can. So, probably be following more than anything. But on the other side of everything, it was a great weekend for football too, dude.
Great college football weekend for
Starting off Thursday night. Was it Thursday or Friday? Miami and Virginia Tech.
sure. Oh, dude, yeah, what a freaking finish!
That was Friday, right?
Yeah, that was Friday night.
Yeah.
That was that weird like
The weird Hail Mary
Hail
at the end of the
Mary
game. That
call where
yeah.
I mean, if I'm a Virginia Tech fan, I'm pretty pissed.
Dude, I will say though, I was watching our high school game in Ganado, so I didn't get to watch the game, and I didn't even really watch the highlights until Saturday. But when I watched the highlight, you see like when the receiver lands, which they didn't even give the clarification that way. They said that the Miami receiver
Touched it out of bounds.
yeah. So just to give you, if you didn't watch the game, what happened was Miami was up 38-34. Virginia Tech throws a Hail Mary from, I think it was a 35-yard line. There's like 6 players go up for it. The Virginia Tech player ends up coming down with the ball. They called it a touchdown. So Miami's going insane because they thought it was incomplete. Then Virginia Tech's going insane because they called it a touchdown. Then they review it, and then they call it incomplete, and Miami ends up winning the game. Then the NCAA gave the clarification, said that the Miami player touched the ball while he was out of bounds, so it immediately blows the play dead, which is
It's a weird rule.
It's a weird rule for me, but
I've seen it a few times.
yeah, but
like recently,
never in a major moment like that. But
No.
just from what I watched, though, you also see like when the Virginia Tech player lands, like you see the ball slip from his arms.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think regardless, I think it was incomplete.
It's just so close, and like those are those calls where like where's the conclusive evidence that you can overturn? You know what I mean? Like,
Well, yeah, and
those are so and what's the definition of a catch now? Like, because like
Yeah.
if he has control of the ball and then the ball moves once he's on the ground, it should be a catch, right? Like,
No,
yeah,
because like one rule that they do say, so the NCAA at least knows what a catch is more than the NFL.
the incident is a lot more.
And
than the
so
NFL.
they say like you have to I can't remember what the wording exactly is, but it's like you have to complete the catch. You have to finish the process, I think is like what it is. You have to complete the process of a catch. I
But
think
like
is the rule.
again, though, that's still super convoluted because like who determines what the process is?
But if I jump up and I land with, so in college you only need 1 foot. But if I go up, I land with 1 foot, I'm technically in bounds
with the ball
But then I land on the ground
out of bounds,
and the ball bounces out, regardless if I'm out of bounds or not.
So what happens? So I've seen touchdowns where like they're 2 feet in the end zone. The ball's not even crossing the plane at all. The ball is literally out of the like, because doesn't the ball have to cross the plane to be a touchdown?
Yes, but
But so they're catching the ball way out here. Their feet are in bounds. The ball never crosses the plane, and then I've seen them fall down. The ball pops free, and they're like, "Oh, he had 2 feet in. He had control of the ball while he was in bounds. Touchdown." I've seen that called plenty of times.
well, I mean, I don't know because it shouldn't be. Technically, it should not be because if the ball pops out, you're not completing the process
Yeah.
of the catch. But also, like in the end zone or like anywhere, like the line extends like all the way like through the stand. So as long as you catch the ball, like if it's past the line, even though it's out of bounds or whatever, like as long as you catch it, it's still.
Because the same thing with like a running back or somebody running to the corner of the pylon, and they're like, they have the ball way out here. The ball never crosses the plane, but they get their feet in. You've seen plays like that. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not usually called because the ball doesn't cross inside the pylon.
It's called a touchdown.
I don't know about
When
that.
their feet get in, that's all that has to get in. I've seen it plenty of times. It's
Maybe.
kind of crazy.
It is crazy, but
It's way too convoluted. Is what I'm getting at.
how do you define it though?
I agree.
I mean, like because I mean I know like it like then that's what a lot of people say is
Oh,
like
yeah.
it's hard to define a catch, but
sure.
how do you define it? Like
sure.
like I know the NFL has no idea what a catch is.
No, they don't.
All these years later, they have no idea what a catch is.
No.
The craziest play I ever saw was
It's super
was,
subjective. It's subjective.
Well, dude, I don't know if you remember the play. It was Calvin Johnson with the Lions. I remember he caught a ball, he stumbled forward, and he like used the ball to like keep himself up on the ground, and they called that an incomplete pass because he like even though he clearly had the ball, but he used it as like a prop to hold himself up. They called it incomplete. Like that was like the weirdest.
Like he brought the ball down.
Yes, like that was the weirdest interpretation of the rule I ever seen. Like now, obviously, there's a lot of other plays throughout time, and again, the NFL has no idea what a catch is, and they never will. The college is usually a little bit better, but like with that one, it's still hard.
I feel like it's just way too subjective. Like it needs to just be like as cut and dry as possible. Like, look, if it hits the ground at all, like if the ball touches the ground, it's incomplete.
Well, and that's
I don't care if you have your hands underneath it. Like if it hits the ground, it's incomplete.
well, and
Like it should be that cut and dry.
well, I think at the end of the day, too, like kind of what we're getting at is like if there was at least consistency.
Yeah.
There's no consistency. So it's like this one, like this set of officials, they enforce it this way. These set of officials or conference or however you want to do it, like it seems like they all understand the rule, but they're enforcing it differently. I think that's kind of the toughest part of it. So
I feel like that's in all sports too, though. Like
No,
even
for
in soccer,
sure.
like with some of these like red cards that Arsenal have gotten. We're not going to get into that, but it's just the inconsistencies.
Well,
but,
dude,
but all I'm saying is if I'm a Virginia Tech fan, I'm pretty pissed.
oh, for sure, dude.
You know?
Because like you said, it is the conclusive evidence.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, and so, especially in like that big of a moment in a game, and
obviously, like Miami's like a front runner for the playoff in the ACC. So it makes you think like if that was on the other shoe, are they gonna make that call?
If Miami's
are they gonna
catching that
reverse
ball
it?
at the end,
Are they gonna reverse it?
Yeah.
You
No,
know?
I agree. And so it kind of does make you wonder a little bit, but regardless, I mean, it was a crazy game.
Great game.
Definitely a great way that you want to start the weekend.
Cam Ward's a monster, dude.
He really is, dude. Like he
made a few bad decisions on some picks, but dude's a monster.
So do you think I mean, I haven't really seen the Heisman front row. He's got to be up there.
I mean, I think he's got to be, especially with Ewers being out.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's kind of that kind of hurt Ewers a lot because he was playing so well.
It's so early, man. Like if he goes, beats Georgia, beats OU, beats A&M, like he's gonna win the Heisman.
Yeah, for sure.
Like he will win the Heisman.
I think part of it too depends on like how other players do.
Yeah,
And I just say that just because he did miss 3 games.
Yeah, but they're against nobodies, man.
Yeah, I mean,
because
that's
like
true.
at some point, obviously stats matter, but like dominating good competition matters more.
No,
if he
for
goes
sure.
and lights up freaking Georgia, goes and lights up OU.
It goes into College Station.
Yeah, if he goes and lights all those teams up, like Cam Ward lit up North Carolina, who gave up 70 to Old Dominion. Like, okay, cool. Like, but I think big wins and big moments matter.
No, I agree.
Aaron's not going to get his touchdown.
Yeah, sorry, Aaron. It was so close. He was a yard away. He's probably texting about it right now too.
Yeah.
But now kind of going with that though. I mean, Texas had their first SEC football game.
Yep.
It was a really weird game. I know you were moving.
Yeah,
but
I didn't watch a second of that game.
Dude, so Mississippi State in the first half had 23 minutes of possession.
That's insanity.
So essentially what Mississippi State's game plan is we're going to run the ball and we're just going to control the ball the entire game and just not get blown out. Like that was like their plan. And, it worked. Well, yeah. Well, I mean, it easily could have been. So at halftime it was 14-6. It could have been 28-6 easily.
Yeah.
Like Texas on their first possession fumbled in deep in Mississippi State territory. Isaiah Bond dropped a wide open touchdown pass like later in the second quarter. So it could have easily been 28-6. It could have ended up being a blowout, but yeah, it was just super weird. Like I said, Texas only has 7 minutes of possession in the first half, so it was really crazy. But
yeah, and could be a little bit of a look ahead, man. Mississippi State's
for sure.
Mississippi State might be the worst team in the country. I'm not even exaggerating.
Definitely the worst
bad.
in the SEC. But,
oh, there's no question about that. But some of their losses, man, they just they're just really, really bad. But again, that just goes to show you, and we have these conversations a lot. Like SEC teams, man, like I don't know, even teams like Vanderbilt sometimes. Like this year, Vanderbilt's not bad.
No,
like they should be the punching bags of a conference. They should be Kansas of old, you know. They should be those types of teams. They should be TCU. They should be Baylor.
Yeah.
Like you should just be Houston, U of H. Like you should be going in there and smoking those teams. I don't know. And then we'll get to it later. Kentucky, like who had that? Like Kentucky could possibly have the 2 best wins in college football if they beat Georgia. They lost 13-12. They held Georgia to 13 points.
Which is just so weird because after getting blown out by South Carolina at home.
That just shows you, man. Like in South Carolina, they were up 17-0 against LSU. LSU's not a good football team. Let's not get this twisted.
Yeah.
LSU's not a good football team this year, but South Carolina isn't either.
No.
So I feel like the competition is there. Like it, and going on the road in the SEC has to be said.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, it's definitely tough, and coming out with a big win at Ole Miss. I mean, I know
Dude.
like Ole Miss, we really didn't see.
Haven't played anybody.
Yeah, they hadn't played anybody up to that point. I mean, they were putting up a ton of points and then just laying an egg like that. Because I know we talked about it last week that this was kind of a show it kind of deal for Ole Miss because they kind of have to win this year, and
Yeah.
now having that big loss like that, I mean,
Their playoff odds have to be like dropped after that loss because it definitely drops, but their schedule is very, very winnable still. There's a big matchup in 2 weeks against LSU. Like, if they win that game, they're probably going to win the rest of the way. But like I said, the SEC, you just don't know. Like,
well, and it's going to be tough too because they have to go to LSU for that one.
Yeah, it's
and
in
then
Baton Rouge.
and then also then they have to host Georgia, which we'll
Yeah.
talk about Georgia here in a minute too. But it's definitely two big games that you've got to win both of them now.
Now you do.
Like now that you lost to Kentucky, you have you had the chance to lose one of those and be okay, but now you've got to win. So, but
selfishly, I wanted Ole Miss to win just so LSU could have a better ranked win. But
it's still good though. I mean,
it'd still be very
I think
good.
they only dropped to number 11. I think.
Yeah.
So it didn't kill them. I think it was 11 or 12 is what they dropped to. So, it's still going to be a big time matchup. LSU will probably be number 14 or 15 at that point.
Yeah, I think they're 14.
Yeah, I think they're 14 right now. So, it'll still be a good matchup. College game day will probably be there. So.
Nah, no chance.
Oh, that's right.
Dude, that's the weekend, man.
Yeah,
That's the weekend.
That's right. We talked about that last week.
I think is that Georgia, Texas?
That's going to be, no, it's OU and
Texas.
Texas, but it's going to be Oregon and Ohio State.
Oh, that's another one.
That'll be the one where they'll be in Eugene that weekend. So
They'll either be in Eugene or they could be. And OU's not very good. Never mind.
yeah, dude. OU, they should have lost yesterday.
Yeah, OU does not look good.
Yeah, they.
A lot of people gave Texas a lot of crap, like especially SEC schools, like you're not ready for the SEC, all this stuff, and that's stupid. You saw Texas's roster last year. You saw what they did. They're more than ready. OU's not ready.
No.
OU is not ready, especially after doing what they did to freaking Dylan Gabriel. They're not ready. That's
No, definitely
that
not.
is crazy. They have a rude awakening, and along with one of the hardest schedules in the country.
Yeah, for sure. And I thought they should have lost that game yesterday. Going to Auburn, which again, it's on the road SEC, but Auburn has not been impressive at all this year, and they led the entire game.
Yeah.
Oklahoma scored with a minute left, ended up winning that game. So
Yeah.
So sneaking out with that one, which again, kind of like what you were talking about with Ole Miss, it looks better for Texas with Oklahoma winning that game because now it'll be a bigger matchup when they do play.
Do they both have buys? I wonder if OU.
I'm
has
pretty.
buys.
Yeah,
I know
they
Texas
both
does.
do. Yeah. So they'll both get a bye, and then
Dang,
they'll.
so who's playing this weekend?
Dude, that's what we'll talk about at the end when we make our games. Dude, it was hard to pick games this week. There's a
LSU's off
lot
too.
of buys. Yeah, there's a lot of buys this week. So there's still some good matchups, but it's not like what it was this past weekend. So, but it's going to be good. But rolling over in SEC, Alabama, dude, making a statement
Early.
They were about 28 points at one point, and then I honestly wasn't even paying attention after that. And then I wake up the next morning, and all of a sudden Georgia ends up losing by 5. So, or I guess it ended up 7. It was 41-34 was the final.
Watch the end?
No, I didn't see the end, dude. So it was crazy. So
Oh, dude, I just got done moving couches
yeah,
and beds
dude.
and dressers, and I caught the end. I only watched the end.
Dude,
'Cause I was moving stuff all day.
Yeah, Alabama was up. What was it? 38-7 or something. I was like, oh, dude,
Dude, it was crazy, and the last 2 minutes of the game were electric, dude. I don't know if you saw the highlights.
I did. Yeah,
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, dude. Freaking Carson Beck just chunks one down the field. Receiver catches it, scores it like a 78-yarder. Freaking pandemonium. They go up 1, and then they go for 2, miss it, and so you're like, oh, okay, Bama's gonna kick a field goal. First play of the drive.
Yep.
That 17-year-old Williams kid goes to the house, makes a dirty move. He's playing NFL Street.
That's unbelievable, dude. That dude's 17 years old.
Did you see him after the game?
No.
He looks like 25.
Yeah, dude.
That dude's a monster.
Is he from Cuba or?
No, I don't think so. He should be.
Just lying on his. His birth
But no,
certificate.
it was crazy. And then Georgia had the ball with 3 timeouts with 1:50 to go, and Carson Beck starts driving down the field finally, because I was in and out. I would turn the game on, sit down, watch the game for a little bit. My wife would yell at me to go back and keep working, and so I would catch parts of it. And Carson Beck looked awful in the first half. Like he was
Awful.
missing
Terrible.
everything.
Yeah.
And the throws that I saw Jalen Milroe make, like it was just simple slants. Like it's not like he was taking deep shots.
Just putting your athletes in space.
Yeah, putting his athletes in space, and then him running.
Yeah.
Like he obviously had, I think he had 100 yards in the first quarter.
Yeah.
But obviously adjustments were made at halftime because he couldn't throw the ball in the second half.
Yeah. No, for sure.
But and I was watching the broadcast, and again, I haven't watched a lot of Alabama football, but what they were saying is prior to this game defensively, they haven't shown nothing, like no exotic blitzes, nothing. And against Georgia, they just like were dialing up these packages.
brought
like,
the house,
oh
yeah.
yeah, dude. And so I guess Carson Beck got happy, feet in the pocket, and couldn't make the throws in the first half, and then adjustments happen at halftime, and that's where good coaches are made at halftime, where they can see that and make those adjustments. But yeah, it was a crazy ending, and then Carson Beck, I think it was 1st and 10 from the 20-yard line, decides to take a shot to the end zone with like 40 seconds left, and gets picked off in the corner of the end zone. I'm like,
damn.
dude, you have time. You still have 2 timeouts.
Yeah.
Like, throw some crossing stuff in the middle of the field. Like, the clock stops on the first down.
Yeah, you got time.
Like, under 2 minutes. Like, you
That's
gotta.
wild, man.
And so it just sucks because that also made me go 0-5 as well. So
yeah, man. So
otherwise, I didn't have any stake in the game. But
no, for sure. And I guess you probably could say the same thing about like Texas with Mississippi State, and then probably OU against Auburn, where like you want to leave something for later, but at the same time it almost hurts you. Like
Yeah.
obviously a lot more for Oklahoma than Texas, but you just got to be careful when you're trying to hold stuff back for those big games. And
dude, I don't know if Oklahoma's holding stuff back as much as they just suck.
well, dude,
Like,
yeah,
defensively, OU's pretty good. They cannot move the ball.
well, according to OU's fans, Hawkins was supposed to be the answer, and he was supposed to be. He was
Dude,
the real
Arnold was
guy that was
supposed
going
to
to
be
get
the
the
answer.
yeah, exactly. But that's what I'm saying. So they said Arnold was the answer, and it's like, oh no, Hawkins is going to get it going. This is the guy now. So now they're so now what do you have? Who else is coming? So
God.
but yeah, dude.
OU
so,
fans are delusional for
Oh,
sure.
for sure.
But they also like I don't know. We've had conversations about this in our group chat too, about like blue bloods, right?
Yeah.
Like, what makes you a blue blood? I don't see OU as a blue blood, but everybody has them in their blue blood list.
Yeah.
Like, for what?
Yeah.
I don't know. They've won a lot of conference championships, but like national champions, like when was their last natty?
Yeah, it was 03.
Yes. Was it?
Yeah, they beat LSU that year.
No, they did not. LSU.
Oh,
beat them.
LSU beat them. Who'd they beat that year? They beat
LSU beat them in 04, I believe.
yeah, they went back to back.
Because it was Jason White was their quarterback.
Yeah, Jason White. Yeah, I don't remember who they
won the
won.
Heisman.
Yeah, I don't remember who they beat that year, but that was their last national championship. So
But like, I just don't see them as a blue blood.
yeah, I mean they went to the playoff once or twice, got blown out both times.
Yeah. LSU was one of them.
Yeah. So
2019.
And then
Joe Burrow had
Alabama
like
was the
6
other one.
touchdowns in the first half.
Yeah, and then they got destroyed by Alabama too. So
Like, I don't know.
yeah, but
But their fans are very confident coming. They were confident coming in the SEC for sure.
oh,
Like, they're like,
definitely,
we're
dude.
gonna roll through. And I mean, they've done that in the Big 12 for the past 15, 20 years since Texas has been down. But like, if you just take 1,000-foot view and look at the two teams, like, Texas was built to come into the SEC.
Oh, for
like,
sure.
you could tell they had a strategic plan to do what they did to come into the SEC, getting a quarterback, getting him some reps in the Big 12, getting established, getting some reps. Quinn Ewers is a great quarterback.
Yeah, and
Like,
I think that's the biggest difference is
Defensive
that
line, offensive line, they've done well.
yeah, like Sarkisian, like he seemed to take a lot more understanding into what it's going to take to win.
Yeah.
Which surprises me because Venables was in the SEC too.
Yeah.
So it kind of surprised me that he didn't have a better understanding of what it takes.
Was
but-
Venables under Saban?
Well, that's true.
You know what I
So,
mean? I feel like that makes a world of difference. Just like learning the way to do things and stuff. Like, it's Like, you see the tree that comes from freaking Saban
Oh, yeah.
coaches, like the coaching tree from him, like it's nuts.
Yeah.
But he had a plan and they executed it. They were able to get what they needed to do. We should bring in our UT correspondent Chris to come give his insight. But
Guy, if you bring Chris in, he'll tell you that Texas is still going to lose 4 games this year. Like,
yeah, but no, it's Texas is built for like this, and there's a lot of SEC fans from schools who are like they're not ready. Dude, they're ready. Like,
well, and especially the draw that they got for their schedule. Like,
that helps a lot too.
like they don't have, like, they didn't get thrown into the gauntlet. Like we talked about before the season, that Oklahoma kind of got thrown into the gauntlet right
Yeah.
off the bat.
Oh,
so
yeah.
so one, like, their roster's not built the same, but also like they have a lot rougher way to get if they wanted to get to the top this year. Like, they had a lot bigger path to go through. So
Yeah, but you also can't play like that against Houston.
oh yeah, for sure.
You know,
Houston, Auburn, like,
Yeah.
yeah, like you can't struggle like that and still expect to be. I mean, they even almost blew the lead to Tulane, early in
Yeah.
the season. So, yeah, so I think it was a little bit of a wake up call for them, and we'll see in a couple of weeks kind of what it looks like against Texas.
You should never
Like we were
know.
talking about before too, it's still a big rivalry, so anything can kind of happen. But
Yeah.
I mean, it could still definitely be a good game. But changing gears a little bit, going over to the Big 12. We talked about that was just going to be, speaking of gauntlet, just absolutely just mauling each other week after week. So Utah goes in last week, win on the road at Oklahoma State, and then they
Won.
turn around and they get beat at home by Arizona.
Yep.
So,
Who had that?
yeah, like nobody would have thought that was coming. And then Kansas State getting the big win over Oklahoma State, which, again, that's, Ollie Gordon just disappearing. And
I mean, dude, Oklahoma State's done.
yeah, I mean, like,
Is BYU winning the Big 12? Let me just say it.
dude, like,
Is BYU winning the Big 12?
well, dude, they almost lost to Baylor on Saturday, so I'm not quite sold on that.
They
yet,
were
but-
up like 28-0 in the first quarter.
Yeah.
They jumped out huge lead
And
and,
then-
just coasted it.
Yeah, but dude, Baylor had the ball deep in BYU territory with like 2 minutes left.
Oh, really?
Like, with a chance to win it, and they ended up not converting. So
Brutal back-to-back L's for Baylor.
yeah, dude, like, yeah, I mean, losing to Colorado and then losing that one,
The
like,
way they did too.
yeah, dude, like, oh yeah, that was awful.
Tough.
But like we talked about, man, like the Big 12, it's just everybody just absolutely just beating each other up right now.
And
Like,
everybody mediocre.
I don't know who's gonna win that conference. I mean, it could be BYU.
I mean, dude, I don't know what they got left.
I mean, honestly, like, I would say like BYU or Kansas State, but BYU already beat
I
them.
mean, Iowa State. A lot of
So-
people are super high on Iowa State.
Yeah, Iowa State's playing really well right now.
Yeah.
Actually, so they're yeah. So I mean, they definitely have a shot. Like, they just shut out Houston
Yeah.
20-0. But BYU, like, they host Arizona. Then they're off this week too. I think everybody's off this week.
Yes.
So they host Arizona, then they host Oklahoma State, go to UCF, go to Utah, host Kansas, go to Arizona State, host Houston. So they've got a shot.
Yeah, there's some L's in there though.
But yeah, I mean, just based on what we talked about with the Big 12, I mean, by the time they play Utah, like, Cameron Rising will probably be back by that point.
Yeah.
So it may be a different Utah team. But I mean, if you look at, like, from a college, like the playoff standings, like, I mean, any of those teams could end up being, like, the Big 12 championship could be like number 19, number 20. Like, they could end up being the 12th seed.
Yeah.
Like, and then one of, like, the lower conferences, they could end up going on a run, whether it's like Boise State or
Liberty.
Liberty.
Liberty's not losing
Yeah, but I don't think Liberty will get to like a top 15
because of their strength of schedule.
Yeah, just because strength of schedule. But like if it's a team that's able to get to like top 15 and then Big 12 gets like number 20, then that number 15 team will get the 4 seed and they'll get the first round bye.
True.
And that'll put the Big 12 at the 12 seed. So
That's a good point.
I think that would be kind of crazy because I mean I know everybody kind of assumes that the Power Four is going to take the top 4 seeds, but
Might not happen.
yeah, I think there's definitely no guarantee in
Because
that.
I don't think. I mean, the Big 12 is only getting one team in. Like, let's just
Oh,
let's just
for
put
sure.
that to bed.
Yeah.
Like, the Big 12 is getting one team.
Well, I mean, their highest ranked team was Utah at number 10, losing at home to an unranked team, so they're
Yeah.
going to drop. So, I mean, now like they're probably their top ranked team is probably like 18 or 19 right now.
Yeah.
Probably 15 maybe.
And it's probably
So,
Iowa State.
Yeah, Iowa State, like they're number 18 this week. So I think they jumped to number 16. So yeah, I think that's your highest ranked team.
Yeah.
Yeah, cuz I mean Oklahoma State dropped out. Utah probably dropped to like number 20. Like, man, dude, that's that's kind of wild. But it's exactly what we predicted to happen, is that everybody was going to beat each other. So,
and I mean, my pick was completely wrong with Oklahoma State, but it was just a crapshoot, I feel like.
yeah, but it makes sense why you picked it, though, because you based it on Ollie Gordon being the best running back in the nation.
I mean, yeah.
And again, only getting 76 yards in another ranked matchup, like, just not good, dude. Like,
And, I mean, they looked like this last year at the beginning of the season, too, and they just went on a tear towards the end of the season. But this is bad. Like,
yeah,
this
dude,
is,
like,
and they're getting to a point where they're not going to be able to come back from this.
For sure. And, like, and now, again, I don't know if it's like what we talked about where, like, maybe the offensive line is just that bad, or maybe, like, he's just not what he was hyped to be. But, I mean, it's definitely interesting as why he's having such struggles. But, I mean, I think it's definitely going to be a gauntlet the rest of the way still, too. I know, like we said, September was, and I think even, like, going through October 12th, I think we said it was, like, the toughest stretch for the Big 12.
Yeah.
Like, all of the top teams were going to all play each other. So, it's going to keep being a just crushing each other the next few weeks. So
What it is.
And then the ACC, Florida State taking another L,
Dude.
against SMU, absolutely blowing them out. Like, that
Dude,
was.
if they didn't get that win last week, like,
I'm telling you, dude. Like that, and that's what my buddy said. Like, he said they might just beat Charleston Southern. Like, that might be their only win. So
crazy.
it's going to be a great matchup week 12 whenever Florida State and Florida are playing each other with 2 wins each and
interim coaches. Because there's no way each of those keep their job.
Man,
between
like,
Norvell and freaking Napier.
Napier, I think for sure is gone.
Dude, how do you justify keeping Norvell?
Man,
I mean, they did have a lot of people leave.
I'll say,
but
like,
still, dude, like, you can't get embarrassed like that multiple times.
yeah, like, and that's the crazy part is that
I've seen coaches fired for less.
That is true. And, I mean, really, like, even though you did lose a lot, like, the expectation is great coaches are great recruiters, and they keep building regardless.
Yeah.
Like, Alabama's always been able to sustain. Like, Georgia's always been able to sustain. Like, your top teams have always been able to sustain big losses. So,
or at least be like a bowl team.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Get bowl eligible. They're not making a bowl game.
No, like, yeah.
Like, that's the difference. Like,
yeah. So I don't think he'll be fired mid-season, but I don't think he'll make. I mean, it would be surprising if he made it to next season for sure.
If he has some more L's, dude, it remains to be seen, obviously. But I think there might be a vacancy at Florida State soon.
Yeah, I mean 1-4, and then now they host Clemson this week, so that's another L.
Absolute L.
They go to Duke, who's 5-0. Then they go to Miami.
Dude, those are all 3 L's.
Then they host North Carolina.
They're going to be not bowl they're going to clinch not being bowl eligible in 3 weeks.
Yeah, I mean that's what's going to happen. Yeah, because it's Clemson, Duke, Miami. That's 7 losses right there.
Yeah.
And then you're done. Then you still have North Carolina, Notre Dame.
Doesn't get easier.
Not good. But, dude, what it's looking like in the ACC is that our 2 picks are going to end up playing each other to get the playoff spot. So.
I think so.
Because Clemson's been playing really well, man.
They might both get in.
No, I think so. Like,
especially if the Big 12 only has 1 representative, they both will probably get in.
Yeah, Clemson's at number 15 right now. So they got Florida State, then Wake Forest, and Virginia.
I don't know, man. I just don't see how Clemson is number 15 and their only L was against Georgia. I mean, I know they got boat raced, whatever.
It's because they started low. Like, I think they started at 15.
Did they?
Yeah,
I thought they started higher than that for some reason.
No, so they were number 14 when they played Georgia. So then they dropped to number they dropped all the way to 25 because they got blown out.
Yeah.
So then they've just had to work their way back up. But
They look good.
I mean, I think by the time they play, I mean, assuming Miami wins out, assuming both teams win out, like you assume that Miami's probably top 5, and then Clemson's top 10.
Yeah.
So
I think they both get in.
if it's a close game, I think they can both get in.
Yeah.
Just because you also got to think too, like it's going to be, well, it really depends on like the other champions, because if there's 2 champions outside the top 12, then you have to be top 10 to get in.
Yeah.
Because then number 11, number 12 are going to be kicked out to allow for those champions to get in. So
Yeah.
that's where it gets tough. So it's gonna be a tough race.
There's going to be some controversy.
Oh, 100%.
There's going to be some
Do
controversy.
you know who's not gonna be part of it? Florida State.
They are not. And Michigan probably will. Like I said from the first podcast, whenever we made our picks for the playoffs.
It's gonna come down to the Ohio State game, honestly.
Dude, they're going to lose to Ohio State, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah,
2
but
losses, they're still going to get in.
yeah, but again, you have to be top 10. Like, are they gonna be top 10?
They're 10 right
even
now.
with 2 losses.
They're 10 right now.
But that's what I'm saying. Like,
They
how
don't
much?
play them till later in the season, so they're just going to keep slowly working their way back up to the top. When
Man,
other
I
teams
don't
lose, they're going to
know.
jump them. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah, like they're number 10 right now. They go to Washington this week.
They're going to win.
Go to Illinois, which Illinois has actually been playing really
They
well,
have,
man.
but probably win.
Host Michigan State,
Win.
host Oregon,
That's going to be a tough game. If they have that win and then they lose to Ohio State,
go to Indiana, who's ranked now. So, dude, like 1, 2, 3, 4. So they got 7 games left, and 4 of them are ranked matchups.
if they go 6-1 in that, they're making the playoff.
If they go 6-1 and their 1 is to Ohio State,
Yeah, they're making
I'll
the playoff.
agree with it. But I don't think they will.
I mean, you don't think they'll go undefeated, or you don't think they'll get in?
I don't think, well, both. I don't think they'll go 6-0 over the next 6 games.
The committee's argument's going to be this: you're going to punish Michigan for losing to the number 1 and number 2 teams in the country.
Well, yeah, but still, but what I'm saying, if they go 6-0 and then lose to Ohio State, I think they get in.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is, I don't think that they win their next 6 games.
Oh, okay, I see what you're saying.
So, like, I think that they'll lose to Ohio State and at least one other
Okay,
game.
gotcha.
So they'll end up with 3 losses.
Okay,
is
if
what
they have
I'm-
3 losses, they're obviously they're
yeah,
not in.
no, that's my argument. Now,
Gotcha.
if they go 6-0 and then lose to Ohio State, which I think even if they get blown out to Ohio State, I don't think they get in.
I mean,
I think it's got to be close.
maybe
But also, Ryan Day doesn't know how to beat Michigan. So
true, but the committee is going to be like, oh, how are we going to punish this team for losing to the number 1 team in the nation and number 2 team in the nation? Because that would be their 2 losses.
yeah, I understand.
Because Texas is going to be 1, Ohio State's going to be 2,
but like Texas,
most likely.
rolled them. Like they,
Yeah, oh, yeah.
they couldn't sniff
home.
Texas at home.
Yeah,
And then you go to Ohio State, say you get rolled there. Like, so yeah, you lost to the number 1, number 2 teams at state, but you got blown out in both those games. Like, I still have a hard time justifying that.
the committee won't.
Yeah.
The
And
committee
again-
loves them some Michigan, dude.
Well, yeah, dude. Like, again, the commissioner of the playoff is the
AD.
president or the
president,
AD
yeah.
of Michigan.
Yeah,
So,
that's what I'm saying.
which
That's why
still,
I have them in there.
I still don't understand the process. Well, I think
Whenever the dice are rolled, I mean,
Yeah,
if there's a toss up between 2 teams and it's a close call, which way are they leaning?
yeah, no, I agree, but and I guess I guess it depends on a couple things. Like, it depends on whether, like, where Michigan's at, and then like how other teams are doing too.
Yeah.
So
Oh, absolutely.
I just have a hard time. I think it would be tough for them to get in.
I mean, we already know Rutgers are making the Big Ten championship game.
Yeah, dude, like they're rolling. Hey, they're in the picks today, so we can't.
Well, you know where I'm going.
Dude, they're playing well, dude. I will say I am very surprised by Rutgers. Like, I did not see them like playing as well as they're playing.
They look
But
good.
I don't know.
That
man,
running
but-
back's legit.
Yeah, but yeah, not a lot of good games coming up this week, but it was a great weekend of football over the weekend. But kind of like some of the news that kind of overshadowed everything was kind of all that red shirt stuff. Like that was,
Oh, we didn't even touch on that.
yeah, it was kind of interesting, man. Like,
We're gonna have to have some other of our other correspondents come in
yeah,
to have this conversation because we're on two separate ends of the spectrum with some of our
for
buddies.
sure. Yeah. I mean, and I would love to have those guys come on talking to you, Aaron, to talk
Yeah.
about this just because, I mean, it is a controversial topic.
It is.
for sure. And there's definitely two sides of the coin to look at, but it's a wild situation. So again, like if you're not really following NCAA too much, what started all this is that UNLV's quarterback, he decided that he was going to redshirt and sit out the rest of his season this year and transfer at the end of the season and go somewhere else. Played the first 3 games and then said, like, I'm done, I'm out. And so it became a big controversy because, obviously he's still in the middle of the season. UNLV was undefeated, which they still are. They actually played really well yesterday too with their new quarterback. But he decides he wants to redshirt. Well, and then it kind of started this. He did it over money, so he said that he only got paid a small percentage of what he was owed for everything, and then it just kind of domino effect. So the running back for UNLV, he ends up redshirting, I think the same day.
Yeah.
And then I think it ended up being like 6 or 7 players, I think, right?
I don't know what the final was.
It was at least 4 or 5, maybe 6 or 7 that ended up actually deciding to redshirt, quote unquote, and sit out the rest of the year because so the redshirt rules, you can play 4 games or less and not lose a year of eligibility. So all these players, they played 3 games and they decided that they were going to redshirt the rest of the season. So kind of an interesting topic. Again, I'd love to have somebody else on here just to have a good conversation about that because, and I know we've talked about it quite a bit, but it's definitely a controversial topic. And I mean, it is pretty crazy to be honest.
But like, obviously, there's no like contracts in place, at least that I'm aware of.
Not with the
these-
school, no.
Exactly, with the school. But if I'm moving your furniture out of your house, we'll just go that, or if I'm mowing your lawn and we agree on a price and I mow the lawn and you give me 3% of what we agreed on, I'm gonna be upset and I'm gonna not ever come back to you
I'm
ever
not
again.
mowing your lawn again.
I'm never
Yeah.
mowing your lawn again. I'll take the L, whatever.
Yeah.
And that's the thing it's the Wild West with this NIL stuff for sure. But whenever you have coaches promising these kids certain amount of money to come to these schools, like at this, and my stance is, we have a long discussion to have about this, but it's my viewpoint that these kids have 4 years, sometimes 5, to be able to make whatever amount of money they can on their name, their image, and their likeness. 99.9% of these kids will never play football again. They're not going to go to the NFL and make millions of dollars like the 0.1% of college athletes. They're not. And so they're literally going to be an insurance salesman in 5 years, pushing papers, and never get a chance to be like, hey, I will give you $100,000 for your talents.
Right.
And the amount of money that's in college football, like, why not? Like, there's people that are making money off their backs already. And we're not talking like a few million here and there. We're talking $1 billion TV deals with ESPN and CBS and Peacock and all this stuff. Like, let them have a little cut. Like, that's who we're watching. We're not going in there to watch like freaking a head coach making $10 million. Obviously, he has a job to do, and it makes their job more difficult, but that's what they get paid the big bucks for. Like, if you're that good at your job and you're getting paid $10 million a year, then figure it out. Like, that's what it comes down to.
Yeah, for sure.
That's my thought process. Obviously, you can go into the moral part of it, like, oh, he quit on his teammates. Well, sure, but like, what would you do if you're in that situation? Like, if you didn't get paid. And there's a lot of he said, she said with the school. Obviously, the school wants to throw some PR in there to make sure that they don't lose recruits and this doesn't happen again. But I don't know. I think the kid needs to get his bag, get his money. Like, that's the one time you can get your money. Like, if you're in college and you're a if you're Morgan Wallen in college and you're playing bars, you can make a ton of money on your name, image, and likeness, no problem. Like, nobody questions it. You know what I mean? But these athletes, like, there's I don't know.
No, it definitely.
You talk about loyalty and quitting on your teammates, sure. But, like, everybody's situation is also very different. Like, some of these kids don't come from money. Like, they come from nothing. So they're like, oh, okay, I can make 7 figures because I'm good at football. And I can make this life-changing money for my family. Make at least some part of it an impact. Is the money going to get spent well? Who knows? But they should have that opportunity to figure that out.
Well, and I think you made a good point, too, when we talked in the chat where you said that, yeah, they're making this jump, but that doesn't necessarily guarantee them anything. So,
No.
I mean, you're taking the risk of this like, for example, the UNLV guy. He's the main reason. He's the main one doing it for money. Like, he bails, says, I'm worth more than this, or whatever reason he's leaving. And then he goes out, and then nobody picks him up.
Yeah, because they don't want that in the locker room. And
Yeah,
that's fair.
Like that's the risk that you as the player are taking by doing that. So I mean, it's a risk both sides. Like, you could say you're worth more, or that you should be getting paid a certain amount, but then that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to go somewhere and get that still. So,
Yeah. And then people are all saying stuff like, "Oh well, they shouldn't be able to do that. The kids, they're just like going after money. They're just quitting." How many at the end of the season when the coaching carousel is spinning? How many coaches just dip out and leave their program to a better program for more money? Like if I'm a head coach and I'm making $1 million a year at Texas State, and freaking TCU comes calling me for $5 million, I'm gonna tell my wife to pack her bags. We're going to Fort Worth.
yeah.
Like that's just common sense. And again, it's not like it's an important job. Like it's for entertainment. Like that's what it is, and people are willing to watch it. People are willing to pay for it. So why not have the players get a cut? Like and it's not like there's a small percentage that are even touching 7 figures. Like it's not like there's like your super crazy athlete 5-stars are probably making $1 million.
Yeah.
But like most of these kids are making $100,000
For sure.
and then getting a free tuition on top of it.
And a free video game.
And a free video game, yeah. And they're in the game.
Yeah, man.
But I'd like to have somebody on to come talk about it, but
Yeah.
because I'd like to hear their viewpoints. Because obviously, like again, you can talk about the moral stance of it all, right? Obviously, you don't want your kid to be a quitter. You don't want that stuff. Like you want to see it through. But if you get hard done by like that, I'm not mowing your lawn again.
Yeah. And I think that's the hardest part, is just the understanding of, like, and kind of like you said, the Wild West, like it's just such a change from what it was just a few years ago, where like you committed to a team, you went to that team, and if you decided you had to leave, then you had to sit out a year. Like there was a whole different process that you had to follow at that point. So
Yeah.
I definitely think that that's part of it, that like it's just changed, and so people just aren't used to the change yet. And so, and again, like, and the NCAA kind of shot itself in the foot by allowing everything without setting any sort of guidelines. They just said, here, like, you're allowed to do this now.
Well, I mean, they probably should have saw it coming. They should have had some plans in place, but it was that court case that got ruled into the student athlete's favor. And then the very next day, it's the Wild West.
Yeah, and it just spiraled.
They should have been ahead of the game and had some stipulations already.
Yeah, you had to know it was coming at some
Yeah.
point. I mean,
and again, I don't know. And then people are like, oh well, you can't just pay these kids and then them just leave. Well, no, that's why you set it up you get the collectives and set it up in a process. Well, you have to complete so many games, you have to play so many games, or you have to be here for at least 2 years before you get your full amount. Like, I'm going to give you 50% up front, and if you finish, I'll give you the other 50%.
yeah, I mean, it's like a contract in the NFL.
Cause
You set your base, and then you get incentives based on things you do.
Because what the kid said from UNLV was, he was like, pretty much what his statement was saying is like there was no negotiating with like what we had agreed on. Like they were pretty much saying no. Yeah. So I think what from his side of the story was, one of the assistant coaches offered him that. And so he went up to the head coach, Barry Odom, who I believe is a head coach, and Barry Odom's like, "Nah, we can't do that. We're not doing that."
Yeah.
And so the assistant coach told him one thing to get him to the campus, but it wasn't communicated within the head coaches, and so.
Yeah, which, I mean, that's kind of the kid's fault too, then, for not at least ensuring that was going to happen.
Well,
so,
yeah,
but no,
agreed. But again, that's where like some sort of contract can come in. Like there should be some sort of like contract to be like, hey, you stay here for 2 years, you'll get your full amount.
For sure. Well, apparently the rumor out there right now is that when the current TV deal expires with the NCAA and all their networks, that there's going to be a break, and that like the top 64 teams in the NCAA are going to like break and create their own division of football.
It's absolutely happening.
I don't know when that expiration's coming, but that's apparently in the works already. So
that's 100% happening.
Yeah,
Super League is absolutely happening.
So it's coming, and then that's when everything is definitely going to change. Like people say now it's the end of amateurism. Like now, like dude, it's going to be completely different at that point. So,
but in a sense, like, how long has it not been amateurism? Like, you have these facilities that are like state of the art, like better than NFL locker rooms, better than NFL facilities.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
How long is it? Like, people keep saying, "Oh, it's amateur football." It's not. It hasn't been amateur football for 30
a long
years,
time, yeah.
20 years.
No, for sure.
You know what I mean? Like, it's been big business the entire time. It's never been about like, oh, the kids play for fun. No, like, and it's the NCAA and all these people who built this up and made these TV contracts that have made it into a big business. It's not the kids that did that. It's been like pretty much a professional thing for the last 20 years already.
For sure.
And again, you can deny it all you want, but kids were getting paid under the table before NIL anyway.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
100%. And so, like, they were already getting paid to play at different schools already. They just didn't get caught.
Yeah. And that's always been the biggest argument, like for Alabama, for example, where, you know, like allegedly, like all the players getting paid in the backgrounds and
now with transfers, like, this is my biggest thing. Like, Alabama was hoarding 5 stars forever, like 3 deep. And now those kids are like, oh, I want to go get a chance to play. So now they're going to Texas State and they're going to these other schools and they're superstars.
Yeah.
And because they actually are getting onto the field earlier.
Exactly.
Because they're not just sitting behind 3
Yeah,
deep.
you're not just hoping you're going to play at some point.
Yeah. For 1 year. And sure, their development might be great if they did that. But, like, they can go ball out and make a little bit of money instead of just sitting behind.
Yeah, and then still boost to whatever school they want to go to at that point.
For sure. And so there's definitely positives from this transferring stuff too. Because you might just be log jammed. You might not be able to get on the field at a certain point.
Yeah. So yeah, it'll all play itself out one way or another. So we'll see what happens. But again, crazy weekend. So
let's make our picks.
Yeah, let's get into our picks, dude. So again, not too many crazy matchups this week, but still some good ones. So the one that I saw that I was going to start off with is sorry, I was in my wrong one. First one I had is Missouri at Texas A&M. A&M is a 1-point favorite currently.
Man, these are 2 mediocre football teams for sure. No, I don't just say that because it's Aggie, because they are mediocre. But Missouri hasn't looked that good either, and it's on the road in College Station. I really do need to get my picks in order. Like I'm going Aggie. It's
trying to straighten yourself back out.
I can't go 0-5 again. It's in College Station. Mizzou's looked awful. I think it's going to be an awful game. Both teams are garbage. A&M's even more garbage. But I'm going to pick the Aggies to win just because it's at home. Literally because it's at home. That's it.
I'm going to take Missouri.
Yeah.
Just because.
Dark horse.
Yeah, it's my dark horse for the SEC. but also, like, I mean, neither one has played great.
No.
Like A&M's been playing their backup the last 3 weeks. I don't know if he's like the starter now, like they just dumped Wegman, or if Wegman's still hurt. Like, I don't even know the full spectrum of that. But I mean, I still think that Missouri's a better team than they are.
Yeah.
And I don't know, man. Like, A&M playing at home, like I always thought it was like a intimidating place, but now it just seems like it's just a loud, annoying place, and
it's always been that.
They still lose, but
yeah.
So I'm gonna pick Missouri just because I think they'll go on the road, and I think they'll step it up a little bit. It means a little bit more, and
yeah,
I think they'll end up winning that one.
Got it. Next game is Rutgers at Nebraska.
So, man, this is actually a really tough game. I was kind of torn on this one. Like, I think because it's at home, I'm gonna pick Nebraska.
Yeah.
I was really surprised when they lost to Illinois. Like, I know that was a ranked matchup. We didn't even put in our picks because we thought Nebraska was going to roll and Illinois didn't win that in overtime. But I mean, I still think Nebraska's a good team. Raiola being a freshman, he's done a really good job. And I mean, even though Rutgers is playing well, like I'm still not 100% on them. So I'm gonna pick Nebraska.
Yeah, I'm going with my Scarlet Knight.
Your dark horse.
Yeah, I got to keep riding with them, man.
Yeah.
You're not going to be on them until they're 11-0.
I mean, that's what it's going to take, honestly.
No, I'm going Rutgers. Their running back's just too good. Obviously, Nebraska's a tough place to play. I think I saw a stat they've had their stadium has been sold out since like 1970 or something crazy. They've had like 30 straight year, I guess.
They are definitely
1990.
diehard.
Like they haven't had. It's been 30 years since they haven't had a sellout. So it's a
crazy.
tough place to play. Yeah, but I think Rutgers again. Their experience on the defensive side of the ball too is just gonna be too much. I got Rutgers.
Yeah, man. Like they're definitely a good team. So
Yeah.
better than I thought they were going to be for sure.
Oh,
So,
absolutely.
our next one is Michigan at Washington. Washington is currently a 2-point favorite at home.
Really?
Yeah.
Washington is favored in this game.
Yeah. Washington is a 2-point favorite.
I'm going Michigan. Again, we talked about it earlier. I think they go 6-0 and then they lose to Ohio State to end the season. But Washington is not a good football team.
Sorry, that's my cat in the background there. I'm gonna pick Michigan too. I think kind of for a lot of reasons. One being that like we talked about Alabama, like losing all those players. Like Washington lost all their players.
Yeah.
They lost their head coach. Like they lost so many things. They've actually been overperforming, in my opinion. Being 3-2. So I think Michigan's going to go on the road and they're going to win this one. I was actually closer than they had before. So
Yeah.
but I think Michigan goes on the road and wins this one.
Yeah, I agree. Next, we got SMU at Louisville.
Man, so this one's actually a really tough one too. So SMU's my dark horse, but Louisville just lost to Notre Dame too.
Yeah, they did.
I'm gonna take SMU. Just try to get one game up on people. I feel like a lot of people are gonna pick Louisville being at home. I think it's definitely gonna be a close game. SMU's offense is playing better. They struggled to start, but they're playing a lot better lately. So I think SMU's gonna go on the road and take care of business. So
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and go Louisville. They obviously lost at Notre Dame, a tough loss, but it's at home. SMU, obviously, they've had their struggles early, and they obviously boat raced Florida State, but I don't think that matters. I got Louisville.
you think they cover? It's a 7-point spread.
Louisville?
Yeah,
Probably, yeah.
I think it'll be close. I think it will end up being like a touchdown game.
Yeah, that's probably about right.
Yeah,
That's
so
7.
It should be good. So, and then the last one, I was trying to get other teams that we hadn't put in yet, and so I went with Texas Tech at Arizona.
Yeah,
So Arizona's a 5-point favorite right now.
Yeah, that's what I'm sticking with. I'm going Zona. Again, their defense is just really good. Obviously, they're coming off that big win last week. But at home, Texas Tech, man, they've been kind of a sleeper team. They beat Arizona State. I just don't know what you're going to get with them, especially going on the road to Arizona. I'm sure that's going to be a 9:30 kickoff. Like it's going to be super
10 o'clock
late.
actually.
Well, 10 o'clock here, sweet, even better. So it's going to be a super late game, and weird stuff happens in those games. So Tech probably might have something up their sleeve, but I'm going to go Arizona with being the home team.
Yeah, I think I'm actually gonna go Tech on this one.
Yeah.
Just because Tech they started the season, they barely snuck by Abilene Christian in overtime, 52-51. It was a close game to a bad team. Then they got washed by Washington State, which Washington State's actually been really good this year.
Yeah.
But then they've been just putting up points ever since then. Like they won by 3 against Cincinnati, but I think offensively they're doing really well. So I think that they have a chance to to go into Arizona and make an impact. So
Yeah.
and they kind of get up for games like that, especially like those late night games. So
And typically with Texas Tech, you know you're going to get some good offensive output for sure.
for sure. So
But I think Arizona's defense
yeah, I think
is good.
yeah, and I guess that kind of goes to your point with the defense. Like that's kind of like why I've been high on Utah is because of their defense.
Yeah.
So Arizona just seems so inconsistent though.
Yeah.
Like I just don't know what to expect.
It's
But
definitely going to be good on good.
yeah, for
So.
sure. So yeah, I'm gonna take Tech on that one. So we got more discrepancy this week, dude. So
Shoot,
we'll
man.
see.
Hopefully I'm not 0-5
Yeah.
again. God.
I'll say we can both just go like 2-3, 3-2. You know, just try to get back on the right track.
Nah,
so,
man, I got to make some moves.
Yeah, gotta get back going, dude.
Yep.
So just whatever let Alyssa pick and take
God,
care of
that's
herself.
what I should do at this point. Jesus.
But no, man. So that's another week. So
Yep.
we appreciate everybody listening. It's been a lot of fun. Thanks for all the support. Thanks for all the feedback. I think we got 25 to 30 people that are sending in their picks. So just keep sending in picks, regardless of how much you know. Just throw your stuff in, see how you do. Just have some fun with it. Just even if you're just guessing week to week. Continue to follow us on all of our social media, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, X. It's all the same thing. It's at Face Value. Just look for us there. Comment anything you want to hear, anything you want to see, any specific topics. If you want to be on the guest on the show, please, by all means, like
Reach out.
let us know. Like we'll be more than happy to have other people to talk to as well on here. Not that we don't like talking to each other, but
Yeah.
it's always good to have other people in as well. So other than that, like I said, just keep listening, keep supporting, keep sharing, all that good stuff. Until next time, we will see you next week.
See ya.